You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook. All right, everyone. Welcome into Watson's Playbook, episode number 22. I've got to give a shout out to the Los Angeles Lakers winning the 2020 championship. What a great season this was. I knew they had a good shot at winning it when they added, obviously, Anthony Davis. Didn't know if we had enough off the bench, but they played hard. The bubble season, people are going to try to discount this championship for LeBron, but you can't. This was a tough season for everybody. They had a 4-month break in between their games, and they had to play in a bubble, and it was crazy. And I'm just super excited. I got me a championship hat and a championship shirt on the way to represent my Los Angeles Lakers. So I had to give a quick shout out for that. We can go into a different topic on a whole other discussion about LeBron and Michael Jordan and rings and all that later on in a different episode. But we're going to start off this week saying congrats to the Los Angeles Lakers. And then I'm going to jump into the weekly sports update here. Number one here, we got the Chargers blow a 20-3 lead to the Saints. They have blown 3 17-point leads this season to the Saints, the Bucks, and the Chiefs. This team, the Chargers, are 1-4. They lose 30-27. They were up 20-3 at halftime. The Saints end up fighting back to win the game. The Chargers' future's bright. They've got to find a way to close out games. And this team could easily, if not blowing those leads, could be 4-1. But when you don't know how to close out a game, you go 1-4. Justin Herbert looked really good in the game again, throwing the ball deep downfield. And just what a bright future the Chargers have as a quarterback. Number 2, Seattle squeezes by Minnesota as Zimmer makes a questionable 4th down call that cost his team the game. What a dumb decision this was. They were up 26-21, driving down the field. It was 4th and inches from the 5-yard line. You kick the field goal there, you go up 8 points. At that point, you kick the ball back to Seattle. They have a minute. I think it's a minute and 20 seconds. The worst case scenario about making that decision is Russell Wilson drives down the field, scores a touchdown, gets the 2-point conversion, and you go to overtime. You cannot lose if you make that decision, Mike Zimmerman. But oh no, Mike Zimmerman decides to go for it on 4th and inches. He doesn't get it. His running back gets stuffed. Seattle drives a length of the field, scores a touchdown with 20 seconds left, and they win the game 27-26 because Mike Zimmerman was an idiot. Number 3, the Chiefs lose to the Raiders. And this is a game I was going to watch, and I was like, no, the Chiefs aren't going. It's going to be a blowout. The Chiefs are going to blow them out, and not even worth watching. Saw the final score, and I was like, holy crap. The Chiefs lose to the Raiders 40-32. Derek Carr played a really good game. He had 397 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. They combined for 144 yards rushing as a team. And the biggest thing here is they held the Chiefs offense to 3 points for 6 straight possessions that the Chiefs had. That was big because we all know that Kansas City can score a lot of points and very fast. So the defense stepped up. They confused Patrick Mahomes a little bit there, and they were able to hold on and win 40-32. Number 4, the Browns beat the Colts and start off 4-1. They're 4-1. That's right. The Browns are 4-1 since the first time in forever. Since the first time since Bill Belichick was their head coach, that they brought a new coach in named Kevin Stefanski this year. And what I've noticed about him is the last couple of years, we've noticed the hype around the Browns and all the players they brought in and the media and the hype, and they're going to win the Super Bowl and how crazy it was. Kevin Stefanski's come in. You haven't heard much about him. I think he's got them level-headed. He's come in and he said, this is the way we're going to win. We're going to run the ball a lot. We're going to have a really good running game. We're going to play good defense, and we're not going to make Baker Mayfield try and look like Patrick Mahomes and throw the ball over the field. He does he's doing what he needs to do to get the job done. Good job, Kevin Stefanski, to get the Browns looking like a legitimate team. Number 5, the Titans run over the Bills. This is a game that I picked the Bills to win. I haven't given much respect on Tennessee. This is what I was going to call the respect game, all right? These are 2 teams that don't get a whole lot of respect, especially Tennessee Titans. The Bills, they don't get a lot of respect because they usually don't finish at the end of the seasons. We all know they choke in the Super Bowls. They've lost 4 Super Bowls. This is a respect game. I was hoping that Josh Allen was going to come out and have a good game. He's my fantasy quarterback. And I was hoping that the Bills were going to get to win, but the Titans dominated them. They put the junk on the table, all right? They ran over the Bills 42-16. They dominated them. But the biggest question to me is, how do they score 42 points? Tannehill didn't throw for over 200 yards. Derrick Henry didn't rush for over 65 yards. So if you go back and look at those stats, it's pretty interesting how they scored 42 points, because that's quite a bit of points. I know the Buffalo Bills turned the ball over twice. That doesn't help out. So it must have been short field position. But good job, Tennessee, showing up and dominating the Bills, which are a tough team. Number 6, the Dallas Cowboys inch by on a last-second field goal, 37-34, to beat the Giants. It's a win for them, but it cost them their quarterback for the season. Dak Prescott snaps his ankle. I was watching this game, and I saw it happen. It was pretty gruesome. He's going to be out for the year. He'll be back next season, as long as everything goes good with his recovery, which I think it will. We're going to get back into more of that in the spotlight of the week coming up later on in this episode. All right, right now I want to introduce my buddy Jeff. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How's things going?
Things are going pretty good. I've been dealing with some back pain this week, so I'm trying to get that under control. But other than that, good. Just working, watching football, watching sports. My wife's car broke down the other day, and I had to go buy a new starter. We're getting that replaced tomorrow. So just, I guess things haven't been the greatest. I'm just trying to keep a happy attitude about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's excellent, dude. I mean, it's like you have to keep a good attitude about things if things are going too well. Because, I mean, in the end, there's always some light at the end of the tunnel, you know?
Right. And that's I try to tell myself that happiness is a mindset. So even when things get down, you can either go with the flow or you can get super angry about it and make situations worse. So I've been practicing on going with the flow, and it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good for me. How have you been, Jeff? I know I know we're waiting 29 days till PS5 comes out.
Yeah, counting the days now. Getting close. My wife's excited. I'm excited. I also got a opportunity to do freelance work for this film production studio in Toronto. So do some graphic design work for them and whatever. So they sent me an agreement yesterday, and I had to sign a waiver and everything this morning. And I think I start that Monday. So I'll be doing some of that. And it's in order to get some experience under my belt and stuff like that. And then today, my work, they asked if I wanted to just still do my part-time stuff with them, but like actually be on board as an employee for the company. So I was like, So I was like, that's not a problem with me. Just as long as I have my hours the way I have them, that way I can still do the stuff I'm doing, no problem, because that allows me to get paid on holidays or, if there's a snow day, I get paid that day. I don't have to worry about, because when I was working at the temp place, it's just where I found the job. If it's a snow day, they don't pay. So if it's if let's say they decided to, if it's like the holiday and, certain holidays, I didn't get paid. Like, Labor Day, I got paid obviously, but yeah, like I want to say they had, I think the 4th off. I didn't get paid that day. So it was, now that that's happened, there's some perks behind that. So, which is cool. Nice, and it's job security. So it's, they're not going to get rid of me. They even said that today. So they like me being there, and I'm there every day on time. I'm busy working. I'm not on my phone like some people. So,
throwing people under the bus, huh? Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that that's super awesome that the freelance thing happened for you, and just something to put on your resume and continue going on with your degree and everything. So, one little rant, a little bit. So I had these Pixel Buds, by the way, and all of a sudden, the case. The case isn't connecting to my phone. Oh yeah. So I haven't been able to it's still under warranty. I haven't been able to contact Google yet. I probably will tomorrow when I get off work. That way I have time, because I get off work at like 10:30 tomorrow. So then I'll be able to call them, and because they're West Coast time. So yeah, everything's out there in California.
Yeah, so I'm going to call them, and they have a support number, and you can call and basically get it. Since it's under warranty, I dropped it once, but it was still working when I dropped it, because the day I dropped it, I was coming back up the stairs and it fell, and it didn't break. It just scratched the top. But other than that, I still used it that day. What's weird is that they messed up the weekend that we went to my mom's house. They were here. And then all of a sudden that Monday, I didn't know where they were. And so I missed them that Monday. And then that next morning I found them. And then I tried to charge them a little bit before I left for work, and they didn't work anymore. So I was like, what the heck? So I was like, well, I mean, they're under warranty, so they'll more than likely just send me another one.
Yeah, hopefully. I want to try those. When I get a birthday coming up, that'll be one of my presents. I'll tell the wife I want to try the earbuds. And
they're so good. They're so good. Like, other than this one issue, they're excellent. There's so it updates itself and stuff. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, every now and then there's some little hiccup where, and that may be because I got this like that week that they came out. So I could have got one that was just messed up possibly. So
yeah, that happens. I got one of the bad PS4s when it first came out, and I had to send it back, and so that's a little frustrating. But all right, man. Like last week, you weren't able to make the podcast, and I gave my first quarter power rankings. I figured we'd do it every quarter. Not every week. I think it's a little too much, but every quarter, see who's kind of the best in the league. So I'm going to give you my list real quick. And then this isn't including this last week that just played, just the week, up to week 4. I had the Chiefs number 1, the Ravens number 2, the Packers number 3, Seattle number 4, and the Bills number 5. So I want you to go ahead and give us your top 5 first quarter power rankings of the NFL.
Well, I'll have to say Green Bay went 1.
I like it.
Mainly because they're, I think, more all around playing better or playing good. Their offense is playing pretty good. I think defensively they're pretty good. You know, they're not the top. I think the top is definitely Pittsburgh in terms of defense, but I think all around everything's kind of working well. I think their running backs doing extremely well, and you know, I think what's this guy's name? Zadarius Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He's he ties the league in sacks. I mean, that's,
he had 3 sacks last game. Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's a beast.
And then this stat sticks out for me. It's Green Bay is the first team in NFL history to score 150 points without a turnover in its first 4 games. They're the number 1 team right now. I mean, you can't really deny that. Great running back, great defense, a sack leader, and then you have Aaron Rodgers running the offense. They're undefeated right now, so can't deny it. I would then I would say Kansas City, but I mean, I'm sorry, they lost to Oakland.
Hey, Oakland looks better than I thought, but you know, I don't think they're going to win this. I don't think Oakland's going to be fighting for a ring or anything like that. But, all right, try it again. You got Baltimore as your number 2. You'll have to go in ahead and type this out, but you got Baltimore number 2.
Baltimore number 2. Lamar Jackson beating Joe Burrow. I think that's a pretty big thing there. His accuracy has gotten better in terms of throwing. I think Lamar Jackson is now proving he can throw. Now you have both throwing and running. That's a big threat there. Defensively, I think they're pretty good. After that, I'll then say Kansas City. I will knock Kansas City a little bit just because the Raiders put up 500 yards of offense on them. That's not good. They kind of kept Patrick Mahomes at bay a bit, even though it was a close game, but still you lost to Oakland. I don't know about that. And then Pittsburgh. I would say Pittsburgh is probably number 4 out of this list, namely because their defense is ridiculous.
Super good.
Ridiculous. And honestly, I would say the offense is really good. I mean, they did win against the Eagles. I mean, come on. But still, I mean, you have to put up or shut up, and it's the NFL, so you know it is what it is. And I guess outside of that, I'd say Seattle. Would be number 5. And right. Seattle is what it is. You know what team they are.
Yeah. They got a bad defense, but Russell Wilson's going to be able to, lead them to victory. That's a good list. I had mine, up through last week, not this comes last weekend, but I see some changes. I need to make it mine. And coming up, there's been some out that they come out with them every week, and then there's some that Green Bay's number 1, Green Bay's number 2, number 3. So I feel really good about my team right now. But so we'll do that. We'll do the power ranking every 4 games until the end of the season. We are going to jump into what we're going to call the spotlight of the week. And this is going to be our main topic of the week. And we're going to jump back into, I mentioned it earlier, that Dak Prescott had snapped his ankle playing against the Giants. It was a design run from Dak Prescott. And that's been a thing with that is a lot of people wanted him to run the ball more because he's a physical quarterback. He can run. And nowadays, a lot of quarterbacks can do that. And they're dual threats. And he hasn't been injured. He's been pretty healthy. They did a design run, and it worked. He got 9 yards on the play. Instead of going down, though, he fights for an extra 2 yards and ends up getting his ankle snapped in half. It was pretty gruesome. He instantly pointed at his ankle and got carted off the field. It was a pretty emotional moment for Cowboy fans there as he's going off on the cart, holds his hand up in the air, and there's fans cheered him on. He will be back next year. What's his face? Oh, who's the quarterback now? Andy Dalton comes in and then ends up winning the game for them. But we're going to go into Dak Prescott a little bit more here. First, Jeff, did you see the play when it happened, or did you watch the highlight of it?
I watched the highlight of it. I didn't watch the game live. We didn't have the broadcast here.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember who was playing. Maybe it was the Browns. Something like that. We didn't have the broadcast. We had the alternate broadcast.
Right.
So
me living in Texas, I get all the Dallas Cowboy games, unfortunately. Or I'll get, I told the wife, because this week the Packers play the Bucks at 12 o'clock, and I had to look up and see when the Cowboys played. I was like, please don't play at 12 o'clock, so no one will get it. The Cowboys played Monday night, and I was like, all right, they better show Brady versus Rodgers on Fox 4, because they usually they don't show the Cowboys. They usually show a division game. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they better not show their horrible division game play. They better show the Packers versus Bucks. I'm gonna be extremely mad. I'll have to find a way to watch that game. But yeah, no, we were watching the game last week, and we're all downstairs in the living room watching it, and it happened. I'm in the floor. It happened, and I jump up, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, that just snapped his ankle in half. And they're like, no, he didn't. I'm like, yes, he did. That's his bone. His ankle is bent the other way. It was pretty gruesome. It's one of those things that you can't stop looking at, but you cringe, every time you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, so when you mentioned it, I clicked on the link that you sent me and I watched it there. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh gosh, like that's pretty horrible. I told my wife, and she's like, I want to see it. And I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, no, you don't. And so she's like, no, I want to see it. And so I'm like, I'm telling you. And she watched it and she was like, oh no. She's like, I can't. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
Yeah. But, I used to watch a show called Scarred, and it's like America's Funny Videos, but it was like gruesome. Like people would break their arm and you'd see it and you're like, oh, so I can watch those things, but it was pretty gruesome. So he snaps his ankle. He's going to be out obviously the entire year. He ended up with fractures and a full dislocation of his ankle. There was a lot of criticism after this game about Jerry Jones and not getting a deal, and they better pay Dak Prescott his money. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that one bit. I don't know where you sit, Jeff. I'm going to let you go first on this because I don't know if we agree totally with that issue. But Jerry Jones he's getting criticized for this, and this is totally not on Jerry Jones, in my opinion.
I mean, let's take a look at the last offer that they rumored to offer him. This was, I think, June 22nd. So I'm looking at this, and it said that they offered him a contract spanning 5 years, guarantees no more than $110 million. So, the details of that contract is interesting, and I don't know if they couldn't agree on the guaranteed money or not, but if in terms of like you're talking about like Jared Goff, for example, who was also drafted the same year Dak was, is $110 million as part of a 4-year extension that he signed last summer. But I think they had to do the franchise tag, but the franchise tag is $31.4 million. So I mean that's a fraction of what he would get paid. Even though the Cowboys are paying a lot, that's a lot of money in 1 year. It's kind of bittersweet because you're like, why? This is one of the reasons why that you want to do, and everybody wonders why is it that players get so greedy or whatever. It's stuff like this. It's those one plays where you're like, man, if he comes back and he's a fraction of what he used to be, that will completely negatively affect his view on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think it will look good on them because he put his life on the line. I mean, in terms of stat wise, he was having a career year. And then at the drop of a hat, he's out, you know. And other than that, he's been relatively healthy. I don't think he's missed a game, actually. That's what they said.
No, never.
So it's
he hasn't missed it.
I think it's kind of this weird thing where I think the Cowboys were looking at their team and going, well, who are we? And at first they were like, we're a run first team. So what do? They signed Zeke and big contract. And then they take a look at the league and go, well, that's weird because now the league's passing. Too late. You just signed Zeke to a huge contract when you could have easily said, hey, we're going to give you what we think you're worth. And that's it. The league's changing. You can take it or you can leave. And then gave that money to Dak. That didn't happen. So now we're in this weird boat where the Cowboys have this conundrum where it's like, what do they do?
All right, Jeff. Well, I'm gonna give you my opinion on this. And so yes, the Dallas Cowboys did offer Dak Prescott a 5-year. The guaranteed money was at 110. The total money was at 175. At the time, it would have given Dak Prescott the highest paid contract in the league. He would have been making $35 million a year, but he would have had the most guaranteed money at the time before Patrick Mahomes got his deal done. Dak Prescott turned that down. Dak Prescott bet on himself. Okay, he's done it before, and he did it this time. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. There was rumors. I listened to 105.3 The Fan. I get a lot of Cowboy information, but there was rumors that Dak did not want to sign a 5-year contract. He wanted 4 years. The Dallas Cowboys wanted 5 because after these 4 years, Jeff, the new TV money comes in because they got to sign new contracts with making the TV money, and he knows that can make him a lot more money. So he wanted to do a shorter year so he can hit the market again and get paid one more time, which is smart. It's very smart, and I have no problem with doing that. But this is what happens. This is the risk he takes with betting on himself, not taking the long deal contract, not taking the deal that would have made him. You can't. People want to blame Jerry Jones, and they want to say that he should have given him a better deal. At the time, it would have made him the highest paid quarterback in the league. So he gave him what he thought was right. Dak Prescott turned that down. So it's not fair for people to criticize Jerry Jones because, look, trust me, I don't mind criticizing Jerry Jones, but this is not one of those things. Dak bet on himself. He has an agent also that is the number one agent in the league, and he's also an agent that takes no discounts, and he gets all the money he's going to get. So that's playing against the Dallas Cowboys and the cap space that they have and everything else. Dak Prescott bet on himself. Now, this I honestly think this Dak Prescott bet on himself. And he's not going to lose, Jeff. In my opinion, he'll be back to start the next season, right? He'll start next year. The Dallas Cowboys, if they're smart, if they're smart, they will franchise tag him a second time. That franchise tag is worth $37 million. So in 2 seasons, Dak Prescott will almost rack up $70 million in 2 years, which we can all agree that's a lot of money, right? They franchise tag him.
No, not really. No.
Right. They franchise tag him again, in my opinion, if they're smart. They see what he looks like on that ankle. I think coming back from his injury, the rehab with his leadership and dedication, I think he'll come back, and I think he'll be perfectly fine. He'll be going back to what we've seen on the field as usual, Dak Prescott. And then he either gets at the end of that season that the Cowboys are going to have to pop up the big bucks or let him test free agent market again, or well, not again, but for the first time. And there's been a lot of talk, Jeff, here in Dallas Cowboy land about what happens if Andy Dalton comes in and takes the Cowboys 10 games. What happens? And it's
possible because of the way the offense is constructed. Yes.
Yes, and Andy Dalton, this is the best offensive team Andy Dalton's ever played with, Jeff.
Oh gosh.
I kid you not. His time with the not with the Buccaneers, his time with the Bengals, he had decent defenses, and he went to the playoffs, and he consistently won 10 games a year, and he made it to the playoffs. So it can be done. So they're talking about it today, and it's kind of an interesting conversation. If Andy Dalton can lead this team to 10 wins and make the playoffs, which they probably will. I don't know if they'll make 10 wins. They'll win their division probably. The Eagles are getting healthy. I think they'll fight for that. But if they make the playoffs, people are going, why will we pay Dak over $40 million a year? Because if he comes back and they franchise tag him, they're gonna have to pay him over $40 million a year. Why would they pay Dak $40 million a year when this quarterback that we could pay 20-something million a year? A lot less money, right? And he led us the same position that Dak Prescott did.
I mean, I'll look at it this way. Dalton, there's probably a little bit more to the story as to why the Bengals moved on. It could be the accuracy. It could be, game decision game time decision making, right there in the moment, when a play breaks down, what are you going to do? And that stuff isn't teachable. You can try to teach it, but I think usually you got to have that kind of mentality, what you do whenever something falls apart. Kind of that, what do they call that? Not thinking on your toes.
Are you there, Jeff?
Huh? Yeah, I can hear you.
You cut out again. Sorry, you cut out again. I don't know why I keep doing this. We've never had this issue, but...
All right, let me close my browser out real quick. Maybe that might be doing it. So, like I said, it's just I don't know what caused Dalton to get replaced or pick.
I think it was just time for them to move on. They got stuck there with their head coach. He was there for 10 years and did nothing. I mean, with Andy Dalton and the team that they had, Marvin Lewis is the coach's name. Now I thought about it. They never won a playoff game. They would make the playoffs and never win. Make the playoffs, get bounced every year. Andy Dalton's never won a playoff game in his career. And honestly, that's been talk. Now and there will be some Cowboy fans that'll be like, "Well, we should pay Andy Dalton and forget about Dak." I think it's a mistake. I think Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the league. He's numbered probably like 8 or 9, and I think he will get paid. What Jerry Jones did, here's where he screwed up, Jeff. He could have paid him 2 years ago. He could have paid Dak Prescott and gave him the $32 million, and Dak would have taken that money at the time. But Jerry Jones, there's been rumors about Jerry Jones not really understanding not that he's not understanding, but not knowing if Dak was going to be that guy. And so now he lets it go further and further, and he's going to, if Dak Prescott comes back, which I think he's going to come back with no problem off that leg injury or the ankle injury. It's not a leg, it's ankle. I think he's going to look just like Dak Prescott, and they're going to have to, we're paying him over $40 million a year, I think, if they want to stay. Some people believe that if they franchise tag him a second time, it's pretty disrespectful. And will he stay after that? I don't know. So it's going to play a lot into his coming up in his contract and how healthy that ankle is and what he looks like. There's a lot of questions going on in Dallas, just for the quarterback position. They already got questions about the defensive coordinator, already got questions about Coach McCarthy there. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Dallas, Jeff. And
there's some massive problems with that defense. That defense is absolutely god awful. It's laughable. I mean, the trick play that was made by New York. Were they setting up for a punt or a field goal kick, and then they all of a sudden caught him off guard and threw a touchdown pass? I was like, what?
Did you see what happened?
I saw a little bit of that play break down. Yeah.
Yeah, and that receiver was acting like he was running off the field, but he was kind of going slow, and then he just set up on the outside.
How do you get pulled like that?
It's not being prepared. That's on your special teams coordinator there. Now, this defense is historically bad, and the Giants, Jeff, the first 3 games of the year, Jeff, have only put up are averaged 12 points a game. I think it was 11.4. And they come in against Dallas in Dallas, and they put up 34 points. They were up 17 points. They scored 17 points in the first quarter. They scored more points in the first quarter than they have all year long in a game, and they scored it in the first quarter, per game, not obviously total. But I was like, all right, this is crazy. If they lose, they end up winning. That shows you that the Cowboys aren't as good as we thought they'd be. And especially me. Jeff, I jumped on the hype train last year. You told me, Brian, they're going to go 8-8, and they went 8-8. This year they grabbed Coach McCarthy, and I said, hey, look, Coach McCarthy did great things for Green Bay. They got so much talent on offense. CeeDee Lamb dropped to him in the draft. I don't think they can lose. I think 11-5. And my gosh, they start like this. I'm like, okay. I tell my buddies, I'm never believing the hype ever again, because it doesn't turn out the way that you guys say it's going to. So there's a lot of problems, a lot of questions in Dallas. They got to get their defense. Without this defense being any better, I don't know what quarterback could come in here and save the day. And this actually, it reminds me of last year, Jeff. Last year, all you heard was Cowboys have the number one offense. We have the number one offense. We're mostly making the most yards a game. We're breaking records. They were 8-8. At the end of the day, I said, you're 8-8. I don't care what the numbers say. All right. At the end of the day, wins and losses mean more than anything else. And this is the exact thing. Dak Prescott was setting records. He threw for 502 yards. He was on pace to throw for 6,000 something yards. It was crazy. But you're 1-4, or what? No, what are they now? No, they're 2-3. But they should have lost to Atlanta. It's just crazy things. I'm like, no. That defense is horrible. Come back to reality here, Cowboy fans, because this team is not good.
No, and I mean, honestly, you had it right. I mean, they should be 1-4. I mean, technically. So it's just kind of like, or actually it should be 1-5. I don't consider the Atlanta game a win. I think that was, I don't know what was going on there. Yeah, it's a win on paper, but that was just a give me win. That was given to them. So you put all that in perspective. I mean, what's going to happen when they get to the playoffs? Right. The possibility of them winning the division is there. Obviously, right. Division's horrible. But what do they do then? Who do they play?
Who do they play that they think they can beat? You're not beating the Green Bay. You're not beating Seattle. You're not beating the who else? The Rams. The Eagles. I don't know if you're going to beat the Eagles. The Eagles are getting healthier, and they held it together against the Steelers this last week. And to me, Jeff, and the crazy thing is too with this, and then losing Dak Prescott, is when we first saw them these first 5 games, they didn't have an identity. They were always playing from behind. They couldn't run Zeke Elliott. He has been missing because they can't hand the ball off when you're down by 20 points. They're missing that identity. Who is this team? Are we going to pass the ball all the time? We can run. Where's the balance at? They're putting their defense back on the field really quickly, and the defense is getting shredded apart. I think we will see a different Cowboy team. I think coming out with Andy Dalton, they've got to change their ways. They've got to get Zeke Elliott. They've got to get him started going. I think that'll help out a lot. Become more balanced. That's the way this worked when they got Zeke Elliott, right? It was Cowboys they've always won the time of possession. We're going to hold the rock. We're going to make long drives down the field. We're going to tire your defense. Now they're throwing the ball so much. And if you go 3 and out, you're putting that bad defense right back on the field. So I think we're going to see a different game plan for them. They're going to start running the ball more, help out Andy Dalton, and then they can work off that to help out Andy Dalton get accustomed to his offense. He has the best offensive weapons he's had in his NFL career. And this defense, they got to get him off the field, and they can't put him on so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very weird season. The injury is kind of a big. It's not a easy injury. I mean, the bone was just out. Like I think they said 6 months. Who knows what that means? How is the next season going to shape up? And the big question is too. How about this? Let's throw this. Who are they playing next, friend?
The Cowboys. Oh, who do they play next? Let me look that up real quick.
Washington.
I think it's their division. I think they have the fourth easiest schedule heading out from here on out. It's my bad. They played the Cardinals coming up.
Okay.
And the Cardinals, they're playing in Dallas. They have 3 straight home games. And the Cardinals aren't a pushover anymore, but I don't think they're necessarily a great team. But they should be able to. The Cardinals should be able to put up a lot of points with Kyle Murray and Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins.
So here's the question I ask you: what if the Cowboys only win 2 games? Okay, chances are that's not going to happen. But let's say they win 3. Now you go into the draft. What do? Do you try to trade up to go up and get the top spot? Then when you get to the top spot, do you go and get Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I know the Cowboys will not do that. Okay. I think honestly, and it's hard to believe because Jerry Jones and Steven have come out and said Dak's our future, Dak's our future, Dak's our future. He's our future quarterback. He's our future. That's all he said. Even after his injury, they asked him, does this change your mind? Is this going to change your mind on that? No, he is a future quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they will. 3 games, yeah, you're probably getting, if they only win 3 games, you're probably getting the third pick, maybe the second pick. And it depends on who's there. I think they got to go defense. But it brings up a good question. I don't think they would pick a quarterback. It would blow my mind, Jeff, if they picked a quarterback. That would be more surprising than the Green Bay Packers taking a quarterback in this last draft. So, which is pretty surprising. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think, and Jerry Jones will never ever, as long as he's alive, approve of team tank, right? When your team is, it's not going to happen. So they're just going to be too good, and whoever has the first pick is not going to give up Trevor Lawrence unless you offer them the 5 first-round pick, something that's never been done before to get Trevor Lawrence. But the Cowboys need help in a lot of ways, and it's number one, it's on defense, and number 2 is that offensive line that has always been really good for them, but now is falling apart.
And that's scary to think about now that you're seeing Dak go down, because you're like, ooh, okay, if the offensive line starts deteriorating, what does that mean? Because the next time, I'll say this much, the scary part is when Dak comes back and the first hit he takes, everybody's going to go on edge, because it's like, oh no, like, did he get up? Okay, got up.
I call that, Jeff, the definition is the Romo effect.
Mm-hmm.
As ironic as that is, trust me, I've been there with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. He broke his collarbone. He gets hit. He comes up limping. I'm like, things happen. Last week, Jeff, when he's playing the game, he almost hyperextended his knee running the ball, and he tripped on his toe trying to run away from pressure, and his right knee almost hyperextended. He comes off limping. I'm like, oh my gosh, please no, please no. So, but we haven't heard anything from that. So, and he also played really well after that. But there's big concerns.
That's my thing is like, what, when he comes back, what happens if all of a sudden let's say we're 6-7 games in, because the timetable 6 months. What does that leave it? What does that leave the season? When realistically would he start game 1 of next season?
Yeah, he would. It would pit him.
So
It would put him right around OTAs and starting.
Okay, so that's it lined up right. It lined up perfectly, and and this is according, if we go off of if the season starts the way it's supposed to. Let's hopefully nothing happens the COVID direction or whatever, but we'll see. And then my thing is let's say he starts 4 games, right? And then he gets hit. And then he falls on his collarbone, right? Or something crazy. What do they do then? They signed him to another franchise tag, possibly. And if he gets injured again under that franchise tag, is he your future?
You'd be Cowboys would be screwed. Yeah, they would be screwed because after the second franchise tag, he walks unless you give him a contract, and realistically, not knowing with his ankle and just a collarbone injury how he's going to be, because Aaron Rodgers has been great for a long time. He got hurt. He broke his collarbone. That's a major injury, right? They still play in his collarbone. He injured this. He injured that. And all those injuries added up. And I think that's a reason, too, why he's dropped off the last couple of years, because he's all those cumulative injuries. So when you have more than one injury, and the only thing that worries me about Dak Prescott's ankle is it's his right leg. It's his plant leg, Jeff. When he goes, boom, that's that plant leg. But I think he'll come back, and he's been. This has kind of been a fluke thing, right? He's been really healthy through college, through the NFL. I think he'll be fine. But there are some questions, and that's one thing they're going to monitor in Dallas. And it's going to be a big story because it's the Dallas Cowboys on what they're going to do with him in the future. But I just wanted to talk about this because. People and this whole thing, Jeff, the NFL is a business, right? That's the way it is. And there's no, you don't get paid for being a good guy, right? So I saw all over media. Des Bryant tweets out, "You better take care of this man, Jerry, if he can't ever play again. You do this, you do that. He's such a good guy. You better pay him." They don't pay people because they're good guys. If they paid their players, all their players, because they're good people, I'm pretty sure they would run out of money a long time ago. They pay because the value of the position and how good you are at that position, regardless if you're a good person. Now, his leadership, and that's the one thing they've always talked about, Jerry Jones. And then when they've complimented Dak Prescott, it's always been his leadership. And that is huge. Don't get me wrong, locker room leadership, that's huge. But you don't pay him for his leadership. You pay him for how good he is on the field. So that was one of those things I'm like, you got to stop thinking like that, because that does nothing to do with his paycheck on how good of a person he is. It's how good he is on the field, and is he winning you football games? And that's what it comes down to.
I mean, I'm always under the notion it's like, the Broncos. Here's the interesting part about the Broncos. The Broncos will pay people if they think it's worth it, and it has to be really, really worth it for them. And when we drafted Von Miller, I always was like, okay, this is a really good player, and I hope this is one of those pinnacle players that will forever be a Bronco, will go down in history as one of the best Broncos ever, and everything. That was my hope with that pick. And it took a few years for him to really come in his own and become the player that I think he could be. And I'm glad he didn't get injured early in his career, which could have hindered that, I think. Unfortunately, like Bradley Chubb, he got injured his second year, which was not good. And so hopefully we start seeing that turnaround for Bradley Chubb, and and we won't see that till Von Miller comes back. But when Von Miller was in his contract year, they won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And he was the reason they got there. As much as everyone wants to paint the picture of Peyton Manning and whatever, Peyton Manning got us to the point. Peyton Manning got us to that point, but Von Miller is the one who sealed the deal.
Here's a stat, Jeff, to go along with yours, is the Denver Broncos, and I believe I have this right, are the only team they're the only team to win the Super Bowl without throwing one touchdown pass. Peyton Manning did not throw a touchdown pass in that game. So, he was – you could tell it was his last year. But, you're definitely right.
Yeah.
Von Miller and that defense is what got you there.
Yeah. And I remember when they signed him to that big contract right after the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I have no problem. Like, I don't care. I don't care if this was the only Super Bowl Von Miller wins. I don't care if, like right now he got injured. And a lot of people in the Bronco world are like, "Well, we're eating the words on the contract." I'm like, you know what? That contract is the reason we won Super Bowl 50. That contract is the reason why Von Miller has stated multiple times he is a Bronco for life. Period. Right. Because we paid him this big contract, but when that contract's up, if Von Miller wants to continue playing for a few more years, he's not going to want that much money. You know what I mean? Like he had his payday. It's come, it's gone. And I think now it's just reaping the benefits of him helping and mentoring people. And that's exactly what he's doing now. Like
when he leaves, when he retires, he'll be a god in that city of Denver. So they're able to walk on water.
Oh yeah. They have a monument right outside the stadium, and he'll be his number will more than likely be retired, and he will have a plaque out there. Like I guess we haven't had a face of the franchise like that in a long time. I would say the last real time we had it was Elway, and I think that he is the face of the Broncos today. And so,
it's hard to find those people, right? To find those guys that you can do that. My team's lucky enough to go straight from Favre to Rodgers. He's been the face of our offense and the Green Bay Packers this whole time, and I'm just hoping.
And I honestly think that that's the thing is, like, we talk about identity, building the identity and who a team is and who they are. And I think that the year that the Broncos won that Super Bowl 50, we knew who they were. They were not this offense-only team that went to the Super Bowl and got bounced by the Seahawks because the Seahawks had a better defense that could shut down any offense that came out there. It was a different team. It was a team that could shut down any offense that was thrown at them. And so that was the identity of the team, and it's kind of like even taking a look at Green Bay now this year. I mean, their offense is an identity, but their defense is an identity as well. Like, it seems like the teams that are somehow, all, kind of, I guess, an all around football team. I know that's thrown around too often sometimes, but you have to be a complete team to make that happen. And the Broncos in that first half of the season in that Super Bowl 50, that first half, we were offense, good defense, well-rounded. That was one of the best teams I've ever seen put together since, I would even say, in the late 90s when we went with Elway. Like, they had the defense, they had the offense, they had the threat with the air, they had the running back situation pretty much good with I can't remember that guy's name, but he just recently retired. It was just an all-around good football team. I see it with Green Bay now. Like, they have a complete team.
When I watch Green Bay, and I think the defense could be better, but their defense, this is the best coverage team that we've had in a long time. We've got Darius Smith getting to the back. We got Gary stepping up. He's rookie a couple years ago. He's stepping up. And when I see Green Bay, especially on offense, I think we're the most balanced team in the league. We run the ball long. We pass the ball a lot. We have a lot of play action passes. We have a lot of pre-snap motions. And you get into the analytics, and Green Bay is number 5 in the league. Top 5 in the league of pre-snap motion, and that pre-snap motion confuses the defense. It opens up things better for the offense. I think Matt LaFleur has done a beautiful job here at Green Bay, Jeff. I am totally head over heels with Matt LaFleur and the job he's done. He is actually, he is 17-3 since joining Green Bay. If he wins one more, He'll be 18-3, and it'll tie for being a coach that's changed teams and had the most wins right off the bat. If they go to 20, and if he goes to 20-3, he'll break that record. He's doing fantastic things there, and he's got our team very balanced. I do think our defense could play better, but you're exactly right. This Packer team is extremely balanced, and Aaron Rodgers is playing lights out. And we got some big decisions to make in the offseason of who we want to keep and let go, and cap room and all that stuff. That's later down the road. But
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, even if you look at when Denver won the Super Bowl, Peyton didn't have to. I think that was great about that team. His defense was so good. Peyton didn't have to be the best.
Right.
Like, he could have been average, which he was average that year, and that didn't matter. Like, just the threat of him being out there is what made teams on edge, because there was that possibility where all of a sudden he could break out, and it was like, oh no, now we got to deal with this and this defense. That's too much. Well, and so I think with Green Bay, that's a good part about it, is their offense is so good. Their defense, it can be mediocre. It can be not the best, but like the top 10, and still there's a threat, because that team knows they have to worry about Aaron Rodgers.
Right, and I think if you want to look at a team that's somewhat similar, look at the Steelers. Yeah. The Steelers' defense is top 3 in the league, and Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have to play hero. So that team looks pretty scary. And this game coming up this week, well, we'll get into that in a minute here. The top 5 game. They play a game this week. It's in the top 5. Let's end the spotlight of the week. We were talking about Dak Prescott. We got off subject a little bit. But I think Dak will come back perfectly fine. I think he'll be healthy. I think he bet on himself, and I think he will win. I think Dallas would be dumb to let him go. As long as that ankle heals and he's the same quarterback, I have no problem with them signing him for a long-term deal after next season. But I think because it's injury, I think they do franchise tag him one more year.
I think my thing is like, it seemed like we went off topic, but I think getting to the idea of like the identity of something. What's the identity of this team now?
Yeah.
Who are they? Their defense is definitely not the identity. So we'll see.
Right. All right. I'm going to throw out some side notes here real quick. And we're going to call it the sidelines. Little side notes. This week, the Falcons fired Dan Quinn and their GM after they start 0-5. They wanted to fire Dan Quinn last season, but the teammates really loved him and said, hey, do not fire his coach. This is on us. They come out again. They start 0-5. He fires the GM and the coach, as in Dan Quinn. And then not only that, Jeff, Arthur Blank, is it Blank? Arthur Blank, Blink something. I forget his last name. He's the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and he had some questionable comments on Matt Ryan. They were talking about it, and he said that Matt Ryan, I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have the quote in front of me, but basically he said Matt Ryan has been the face of our team for a long time. He's a good quarterback. I do not know if he'll be on the future of our team, right? I don't know. He said that's not a decision he's going to make. So whoever he hires in there, the GM and the coach, is going to have to make a decision on Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's 35 years old. This is something where they come in and they get rid of him. That's interesting tape. They were talking about trading. People could trade for Matt Ryan, not the owner, but just sports talk radio. So I thought that was pretty interesting. If they were to get rid of Matt Ryan and move on from him once they hire a new GM and a new coach. You got any comments on that? I mean, it's. I
think this is the time where they're about to just kind of blow it up.
I think you're exactly right. And a lot of times your quarterback is, once you take a quarterback in the draft or whatever, usually in the draft, or you sign off on your starting quarterback, you're tied. Your GM is tied with that quarterback. You're tied with that decision. So whoever comes in, if they like Matt Ryan, I think they can keep him. I think he's still got something left in the tank But I don't know. And I was thinking about this the other day, Jeff. I think the Jets will get the number 1 pick. And the Jets, they have Sam Darnold, right? And he was their first round pick 2 years ago, I believe. And I'm not ready to give up on that on Darnold because the Jets haven't given him a team to work with. Here's what I would love to see. I would love to see the Jets. I would love to see the Jets get the number 1 pick, take Trevor Lawrence, and then I would love to see them trade Sam Darnold to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a team I feel really bad for, Jeff. Their star quarterback retires out of nowhere. They hire poor old Phillip Rivers, who's tanking faster than Drew Brees and Tom Brady is. And they have a team, Jeff. They have a good running back. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Up to last week, they had the number 1 defense in the league, believe Jeff. Number 1 defense in the league, believe it or not. The Colts did. I would love to see Sam Darnold go there and start his career anew with the Colts. I don't know if you have any thoughts or opinions on that, but the owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, has this. They still says he has this pipe dream of him talking Andrew Luck out of retirement.
I mean, I think that's a far stretch, but
yes, big time.
I mean, teams are just trying, man. They're trying to get better, trying to figure something out. And
oh, Jeff, you muted yourself, Jeff. Jeff, can you hear me? Yeah, you muted your microphone there.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I was like, dang it, cut out again. I looked over and said, Jeff's mic's mute.
I didn't know the shortcut was the space bar. Somehow my arm hit the space bar.
A lot of editing to do in this episode.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh man.
I actually might keep this one in there. It's pretty comical. Right. But so the Colts are trying to figure themselves out. A lot of teams. It's kind of weird. I would say there's not a whole lot of great teams right now. It's teams trying to figure themselves out. Even Tampa Bay's trying to figure themselves out. And they have a great quarterback. One of the best quarterbacks. But then you have like the Saints, and it's very interesting because there's not really a lot of like, I would say it's not
houses.
Yeah, not too many of them. No.
To me, if you look, I think the power has shifted to the AFC, because a lot of times, like the AFC was up to 2 teams, and then it kind of the NFC it could be anybody from the first seed to through the 8th seed. It could be anybody that makes the Super Bowl. I think it's kind of shifted to the AFC. You got the Chiefs, the Ravens. They're 2 powerhouses, in my opinion. You got the Steelers, who look really good. You got the Tennessee Titans, who are undefeated. You got the Buffalo Bills, who are stepping up. And you also got to account for the Patriots with Bill Belichick. You can't count him out. And you look at the NFC this year, and you got Green Bay, who's killing it. You got Seattle that's killing it, but they have a bad defense. The 49ers are a shell of themselves from what they were last season. The Rams have looked good, but the Rams have also played the NFC least is what I like to call it. The NFC East there. They've already played all 4 of those teams, and who they really played. And you got a lot of questions. So I definitely agree with you that it kind of seems like that the Saints are.
Brian, you cut out.
Maybe that'll come with you too, with Tom Brady.
Wow. Hang on. You cut out for like a good.
It said you're on hold. I don't know why. Okay, hold on.
20 seconds. About 20 seconds you cut out. So.
Okay, what's the last thing you heard?
You were talking about the Saints, I think.
Okay, the Saints aren't as good as we thought they were. And they're a team that's always been there. They're a team that's on the decline. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't as good as they thought they'd be with Tom Brady and all his offensive weapons. So maybe that clicks in year 2, but But there's a lot of change going to happen. I think this will be Drew Brees' last year. There's just a lot of change going on in the NFL. And with the COVID going on and not being able to do your normal off season, there's a lot of things changing.
Yeah, and the influx of the schedule is being changed as well. Broncos didn't play Sunday at all, which is frustrating. I wanted to at least see, I want to see some of the team playing at least. But like now with the COVID stuff, they don't play, and they had a bye week, an early bye week.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Tennessee Titans, they play the Bills on Tuesday Night Football, and they haven't played. It was 16 days since 16 to 18 days since they played last time. And they didn't even practice. They showed up at 42 points up on the Bills with no practice and no games, which is crazy. But let's go ahead and jump into the top 5 games of Week 6. Jeff, I pulled up the top 5 games, and number 1, I already mentioned it earlier. We got Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, the Packers versus Bucks. This is a game that's should be game of the week, I think. You don't how often do you get Brady versus Rodgers? Doesn't happen very often. I picked the Green Bay Packers to win, Jeff. I think they're going to come in. This offense is high powered. Aaron Rodgers should have a really good game. The defense is tough. I just think the Packers are going to overpower their offense. I think Tom Brady doesn't look as good as he used to. He played the Bears. They lost by a point to the Bears last week. Disappointing loss for them. They play, and I think this one is in Tampa Bay, but I think the Packers pull this one out. Who you got winning that game, Jeff?
I'll agree with that. I think Packers are going to win this game. I think they're a better team. And ultimately, I think their team is better than the Buccaneers. I think it might be close. But again, when it's a close game, you can't bet against Rodgers.
Right. It's hard to
where are they playing? Where are they playing?
They're playing in Tampa.
Okay.
So, but they can't have fans there, so it shouldn't be too much of a deal. All right, Jeff. Game 2, we got Steelers versus the Browns. The undefeated Steelers versus the Browns. For the Browns are 4-1. We heard my weekly sports update earlier. I was praising them starting off 4-1. This coach has started off a great position to put this team in. But I got the Steelers winning this. I think their defense is just too good. I think Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a good game. They got to be able to protect him from Myles Garrett. But I think the Steelers are going to overpower them on defense. They're going to be able to stop their run. And they're going to force Baker Mayfield to try and play hero ball. And when that happens, the Browns aren't very good at that point. So I got Steelers winning this and staying undefeated.
So the Steelers, did they win last week?
Yeah, they beat the Eagles. Remember, They beat the Eagles 30. It was like 34-28.
And they're undefeated, right?
Yeah, they are undefeated. But and a lot of the knock against them is they haven't played a lot of good teams yet.
Right.
So that's been the knock. But look, people said that with Green Bay, and that's you don't control your schedule, right? Obviously, you don't control your schedule, or we would play the Dallas Cowboys for 16 straight games, Jeff. No, no, you don't control your schedule. And here's what when people say that to me, oh, you haven't played nobody. Okay, but look at what we did against those teams. It's in my opinion, a good team dominates the bad teams. We dominated the Minnesota Vikings. We dominated the Lions, which we're supposed to. And then a good team also beats teams they're not supposed to beat, right? You find a way to win against the good teams, beat the Saints, who are a good team, and everything like that. So I can't knock them because they didn't pick out their schedule. They came in, they handled business, and they've won. So they're undefeated, and I'm not going to knock them for their schedule because, I didn't make it.
So my question is, they beat the Eagles last week. How close was that game?
It was close, and the Eagles aren't as bad as they first started out. I think they're getting healthier. They've been decimated with injuries. Carson Wentz has been their big issue. He's actually played better that game. For a lot of ways, I thought Steelers won by more points. To me, it didn't seem that it was that close. You go look back at the final score, and it was. So to me, it wasn't a close game, but the Eagles did put up a fight.
I think I'm going to go with an upset on this one. I'm going to go with the Browns beating them.
Nice. Okay. And I can
I'm going to see. Yeah, because I mean, we're seeing a few upsets. We're seeing Kansas City lose at Oakland, which is kind of weird. Are they playing in Pittsburgh?
I'm not sure. I didn't look that one up. I think they're playing in Cleveland, and these two teams, they are a rival. So
yeah. I think it might be a close contested game, and it's very possible that the Browns could sneak out a win.
It is very possible. Number 3, Jeff, I got the Chiefs versus the Bills, both coming off their first loss of the season last week. The Chiefs lost to the Raiders. The Bills lost to Tennessee Titans. The Bills' defense is good. It's not as good as it was last year. Josh Allen is playing lights out this year so far. He had an okay game against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is really good. I just don't think Kansas City's going to lose 2 games in a row. I got the Chiefs winning this one. I think Patrick Mahomes balances back and they win this game. And he had a good game. He did throw, I think, 1 interception, but it wasn't that Patrick Mahomes game that we're all used to. But I think he wins against the Bills.
I think last week we saw Patrick Mahomes as a human being, not a robot.
Yeah.
This week we'll see him this next week we'll see him become a robot again, and I think they'll win.
Yeah.
He'll revert back to his robot ways.
Right. All right, Jeff. Game number 4, we got the Texans versus the Titans. The Texans are a team that just came off firing their head coach. They won their first game of the week last week. Can they keep that momentum going? I say no. I got the Tennessee Titans winning this game. What they did against the Bills really put some respect for them on myself to respect them, give them some respect. Derrick Henry, what they're doing is working. Tannehill's not throwing for 400 yards. And hit Derrick Henry ain't rushing for 300. They're finding ways to win. Mike Babel, I think, is becoming one of the really good coaches in the league. What he's been able to do with the Titans the last couple of years, they're finding a way to win. This defense was able to shut down the Bills the other night, and so I got the Tennessee Titans winning that game against the Texans.
I will agree with that. I don't think that something's going wrong with the Texans. I think they fired their coach. And
yes.
Yeah, and then I heard something about J.J. Watt having an argument with somebody.
Ooh, J.J. Watt and the defensive coordinator was getting in a yelling match with Bill O'Brien before weeks in practices. And the players, I've heard it was the players that had enough, and they went and talked to owners, and they got Bill O'Brien fired, which he needed to leave. He needed to go. So I have no problem with that.
Right.
But yeah, there was some conflict going on there. We'll see if they can find their way. They haven't replaced his head coach yet. They've interim coach, but I don't know if they'll wait till the end of the season to do that because they're pretty fresh off in the year. So I don't know if they'll find someone else now or they'll look to wait till the end of the season to do that. I think they probably wait till the end of the season and then start fresh with a new head coach.
Yeah, I will say that, I'm going to go with Tennessee on this one.
All right, number 5, Jeff. Number 5 is I got the Rams versus the Niners. And the Rams are a good football team. They had an off year last year, and they were 9-7, which is not a horrible year, but they were off. The 49ers went to the Super Bowl, Jeff. But the 49ers were injured. And the reason I put this game on here is, first, it was hard to find a 5th game. 2, this is a division game. These are rivals, the Rams and 49ers. I got the Rams winning this game. The 49ers got a lot of problems, Jeff. Jimmy Garoppolo came back off injury, and he got benched last week, Jeff. He got benched, not because he was hurt, because he was playing that bad. They put in their backup quarterback. They ended up getting stomped by the Miami Dolphins, 34-17. I think the Rams are going to come in here, and I think it's going to be a tough game for the 49ers. Last week, the Rams played the Redskins. They won 30-10. And Aaron Darnold had 4 sacks last week against the Washington Redskins. Sorry, my bad. The Washington football team. Sorry, Jeff. You can delete that out if you want. I got the Rams winning this game, and I think it's going to be a long, long day for the 49ers.
I'm definitely going to go with the Rams on this one. The 49ers are, I think at this point, just forget 2020 exists. Like, just there's so many injuries on that team. It's insane. Like, just get through the year. Just get through the year, get healthy, and just restart again next year.
Their health has been a dumpster fire out there, and they've had a lot of injuries, and that's why I think you can try and salvage this year and try and do something, but I just don't know how they're going to have the backups to do it. And they got big questions. If you're benching Jimmy Garoppolo because he's playing bad, now did his injury the week before, the 2 weeks before, kind of play with how bad he was playing? Maybe it did. But you got some questions if your quarterback's being benched because he's not playing good. So I don't know if they believe in Jimmy Garoppolo all that much out there, but be interesting to see that quarterback controversy going on out there. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it was due to the injury, but his bad play was caused because of his bum ankle, or if it did, he was just playing so bad that they benched him.
I mean, if they want to get rid of him, I'm sure good old Bill Belichick would have no problem getting him back.
You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Well, that hits a wrap up on this episode. Sorry, guys, if you hear all the cutouts and all that stuff. There's been some phone connection issues. Final
dang Skype.
Yeah. We use no issues, so it's been kind of interesting. It paused you a while ago. I don't know why. Or paused me. You said, "Oh, what the heck?" But anyways, I don't know if you have any final thoughts this week. Jeff, go ahead and kick that off if you'd like. Any final thoughts? Anything you got going on you want to talk about?
Just starting this new chapter with getting my feet wet in the design world and everything, which is exciting. In terms of anything I've been up to outside of work and stuff like that, I think my wife and I are going to go do some hiking Saturday, possibly in Vail, and try to find some spots out there. I think it might snow out there a little bit, but I think it'll be a good Saturday. But
snow already, Jeff?
The snow already. There's supposed to be a cold front coming in. It's supposed to be in the 30s in the morning tomorrow.
It was 91 today, Jeff. All right, we're still in the 90s here in Texas.
But yeah, it's becoming fall. I'm like anytime it's this time of year, it's like I'm all about pumpkin spice everything. So I'm like pumpkin spice coffee, pumpkin bread, so it's just
pumpkin bread is
it's always the best in the fall, man. It's like it's kind of like, it's funny because somebody was like, oh, you like pumpkin pie? I'm like, yeah, but I can only have it on Thanksgiving. I cannot have it any other time because it defeats the purpose of having it.
It's that one treat you get.
Man.
I think fall. I think spring is probably my favorite, but I don't know. Fall is pretty good. Well, okay. Here in Texas, there's either winter or summer, and it's mostly summer. When we don't get a lot of fall. But I do like fall. I like I am a pumpkin spice guy too, Jeff. That's okay. I do like a lot of pumpkin bread. And Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. But I think hitting that October, you get Halloween, and I got kids, so they love to dress up. We're going to go take them out trick-or-treating this year, carve the pumpkins. I got them last week when I went to the store. I got a couple gingerbread houses, haunted houses. We decorated for them. We're going to carve some pumpkins, really get into the season. And it just kicks off from there to Thanksgiving and gathering the families to Christmas, and just all three great holidays. Three of my favorites. I think I'd probably go Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then Halloween. And then when you got kids, Jeff, I got 4 of them. Okay, but you know that. But when we go trick or treating, that's a whole lot of candy that we get to We get to snack on when they go to sleep.
You get to pick the pieces you want. You're like, let me try this and test this one out. It's like, what?
Give me that Reese's peanut butter cup.
I got to make sure it's good.
I got to test it out. So, and Halloween's on a Saturday this year, so that's even a bonus for us. So we got to go get them. We got to go shopping and get them some Halloween costumes this week and really get them into the spirits. When
my sister was in town, she came in town last week, and we went to the pumpkin patch at Anderson Farms here in Colorado. Shout out to Anderson Farms. Awesome place. They do a lot of like festival stuff, but they also have a lot of stuff that my wife gets. Like she always gets their apple butter, and then they had pumpkin butter as well. And so she got some of those. They make it right there. Even though you look at the ingredients and it's like 7 ingredients. That's it. So it's just like amazing.
And they're churning it.
Oh yeah, it's so good. And so they have all that stuff. And we went to the pumpkin patch with my nephew, and he got to look around and experience that. And we went to the corn maze, and that was pretty cool. And Allie and I have done that before. That's kind of our tradition this time of year, is we'll go to the corn maze. We did it last year. We want to keep making it a thing. So we went again with my sister this year. And we're contemplating on what to do for Halloween, because we're like, what do we do? And they have a haunted corn maze at 7:00 there. So
nice.
We might do that.
That's awesome. We've Jenna wanted to go to a haunted house this year. I'm like, what? You want to go to a haunted house? I don't know if you ever did Screams when you were here, Jeff. Screams is it has 5 haunted houses on the property, and you go walk around, and it's kind of like a festival, but you got these haunted houses to go into, and you can get food.
Is it in Waxahachie?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You lost your car out there that one time. That's that place. All right. I remember that.
Yeah.
You park literally. You just park in a field, and then it's good luck getting out. But that place is pretty cool. She wanted to try and go out there. I don't know if we'll be able to make that work, or if they're even open because of COVID. And that's another thing too. I want to know who's all handing out candy, because I don't want to do all this stuff and then take the girls around for 3 houses and have to come home because no one has handed out candy. But so props and head, props for those that are handing out candy this year, because I'll be out, and we usually put a pumpkin out that has candy in it for the kids that come by our house, because we'll be outside, trying to get candy versus candy by herself. But that's about it.
It's just that time of year. It's a fun time. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I love the cold. Here at least, I like when the weather gets crisp, and I like when I, get that winter chill. And it's, to me, this is like my time of year, man. This is the stuff I like the most. It's always fun to get that winter chill. It's that fall season's coming. My wife and I went and saw the fall foliage in the mountains and stuff a couple weeks ago. So we got some pictures of that stuff, and it was amazing seeing all the colors, the reds and the yellows and the and stuff like that. And I'm sure you saw that when you were living in Utah.
Oh yeah, the mountains change colors. Very beautiful. Yeah. I do miss that, man. I miss that a lot. So
yeah, it's my favorite time of year. If I had to pick, it's got to be this time. This is the time where I feel like it's fun. It
starts that it starts the festivity that you feel, and it just goes right on into November and everything else. And also, I think everyone's kind of looking forward to it because it's coming closer to the end of this horrible year, 2020. So, but we're getting towards the end of the year. I think we're going to start doing some, I think maybe unboxing here pretty soon. So I think people need to look forward to that. Unboxing Jeff's going to be unboxing the PS5.
Yes. Digital edition, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's coming close, less than a month, and so we're finally gonna get to see probably the UI here pretty soon, in the next week or so. I know that Burger King's doing a giveaway as well, so if anybody's looking forward to that, I'll try to definitely do some live stream on the Twitch. And I think Brian does some live streams on Twitch too, I think, or YouTube. Yeah,
YouTube. It's been a while since I've done it on there.
Yeah.
But we are on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We are. You can find this podcast on iHeartRadio, Pandora, our Apple Radio. You can find it on Google.
Give us a rating. Give us a rating on the Apple one for sure. The more reviews, the easier it is for us to get an idea of how we're doing. And so that way, if there's a segment you want to hear more about, we can kind of rearrange stuff and make things work. So it's just going to be. We're figuring all this out along with everybody listening. so
yeah. I know we seem to change things up a little bit. We're just trying to find the right platform, the right way we want to tweak it. But we hope you guys enjoy it, and we appreciate you guys that do come on and listen. Whether you're in the United States or overseas, we do have some that listen overseas. Give you a big shout out to you. And we, if you want to reach out to us, you can always email me at watsonsplaybook at gmail.com. You want to connect with us, we'd like to connect with you as well. We're going to wrap this episode up, episode number 22, Watson's Playbook. Hope you guys stay safe and have a good week.
Take care.